Oh, hello there. Today we're going to talk about other handler stuff in a vertical stack. Just some things to be aware of as a handler, some things that you should be looking for, because straight up doing the weave that we talked about last time, every single time, doesn't always work. And if you do that constantly and don't look at your upfield cutters, obviously, um, eventually they'll figure that out and just find ways to shut down the weave. So you want to be, as a handler in a vertical stack, let's get some light. All right. You want to be looking break side early and often, because as a handler in a vertical stack, you should be good at breaking mark, and the cutters should be aware that that is something that you want to do. If there's an option on the force side, obviously you want to take it. If there's an easy gainer for 15, 20, 30 yards, always take the 100% throw. But let's say stuff upfield isn't going great, and you just need to throw and go with your other handler. Some things that you can do to slice and dice with just the other person, especially if they're just playing really tight on the rest of the stack, is, so let's say this defender is being super aggressive, playing just face guarding the man, and the off handler is they're just playing even with him. This space directly upfield will be open, and this guy should be able to beat them there because this person's face guarding. So, as a righty, that you step out and just hit that with a nice little air bounce backhand or a little OI backhand into that space, and this guy will not be able to beat the other handler there. Or even just a flat, nice high release backhand out into that space. In any case, that's a nice gainer. The player's in power position, looking to huck, and that can open up something downfield for your defense, for your offense. Another area that you would want to get the disc in is over here if you're this handler. Let's say this guy's instead playing way off, just kind of almost poaching the lane, just looking over in this direction, kind of just letting that guy get it. Well, if you just give him the pass there, he may be also just looking to cut off the strike. And so just letting that guy get the disc, because the defense wants to move it to the force side and then choke out the disc. So if you're just moving it to the force side and or losing yardage, that's always something you don't want. If there are other better and easier options available. And in this case, there is. You got to be careful not to set a pick, but this player should just come around behind and straight across into this space so that this guy or girl can just float it out over there, and the player can be in power position on the break side. Because break side hucks, which you should look for immediately in that position, are going to be destructive to a defense. If the two guys cutting deep are of equal speed, or even if the defender's faster, the defender is barely ever going to be able to make up that ground if the huck is placed perfectly or even just pretty well. And so whenever you can get a break side huck off, that's a great thing. But even if not, one break should always equal two breaks. This player can just come out for an easy gainer, or if there was a guy deep, he can just come in on the break side for another 30 yards on the break side that nobody's going to stop. And so that's something that you want, because it's always easier to gain back a little bit of yardage on the force side, because they're typically going to give you the force side in terms of the throws will be easier on that side if your cutters can get open. It's going to be harder if you lose yardage back into this space, especially if you don't gain it back immediately with a strike. So let's say this guy ends up even losing yardage just by the fact that this player's way off. This guy's just like, oh, I want to be super safe, and throws it way back there, and then immediately strikes. And let's say this is a smart defense. This guy will just pick him up, prevent the strike from going off, and this guy will just follow the throw right in so that no break side look is immediately available. And now the disc is here. You've lost yardage and moved toward the force side. And if you do that several times, you end up in your own end zone or in the back corner of the end zone with a hard mark on you and no easy options upfield, because the defense will set up in good position and make sure that it's difficult for you, so that you end up having to punt it with a not very high percentage huck or a crossfield hammer or some kind of crazy break all the way across the field trying to swing it, which may result in a Callahan. Nobody wants to throw a Callahan. So what you want is, ideally, with these two handlers, is try to catch it upfield if you're the off handler and the disc was in the center already, upfield on the force side, or just behind on the break side. And then on the flip side, let's say the disc is sitting here with this handler. So this handler is the off handler. And you've got a strong mark on. This guy's shading upfield, but still staying close. So what you want is, in this case, he should cut. If he thinks he can get around the defender and burn him for a strike, he should do that. You'll get in power position. Power position's always something good if you're a handler. So if you think that running straight at him, and if he stays on his heels and is somebody that you can just run right past, do it. If he is not somebody that you can run right past and he positions himself so that he's in front of you or is quick enough to make that turn with you, run at him to the point that he makes a change, or run straight at him so that he ends up on his heels, and then come back out into this space. And this player should be able to throw a nice loopy around. That's just an easy catch. You should barely lose yardage at all. And you should have no mark on you for a few seconds, or for a second or two, and be able to easily continue it up to this player, or from a cutter coming in for a gainer, and get one break equals 2 breaks, or a break side huck off of it. In any case, that's what you should do there. If this guy's just face guarding you straight up, then burn him for a strike. Every day. And the last thing, positionally, I suppose, is if you have it way over on the break side. In that case, the mark's going to be relatively flat, most likely. And this player is probably going to be almost face guarding. They might be just a shade upfield. But same principle as before applies. If you can catch it upfield in this space, great. And the stack should move accordingly. Cover that later on a different day. But what you don't want to do is just move back and on the force side back here. So either try to catch it in about the same area by going upfield and then coming back into the same space so that you at least don't lose yardage. Or if this player can, as a righty, that'd be an IO flick, which would be hard to thread. A lot of players putting touch on an IO flick is kind of hard. But if you are confident of breaking the mark, you can just strike there. That's not very orthodox, but that's something that you can do, and just break the mark right in there with a quick strike where it doesn't have to be floating. You just hit them in stride, and then they're in power position on the break side, which, once again, that's destructive to the defense. That's what you want. And that's all for today.